Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I will focus more on district heating and not so much on transmission networks. I will focus on the transport of heat and cooling. And also in this respect, we need to take into account energy efficiency as well as potential additional investments to be carried out in the future. When we deal with individual systems and policies, we see that more and more emphasis is placed on the efficient energy use and not so much on its conversion or transport. When speaking of efficient energy use, we of course also need to speak of the entire chain from conversion up to the utilization or end use of energy. If we just look at the example of energy production, almost 2/3 of the primary energy is lost unless it is used, this heat, which is a byproduct, unless this byproduct is used in a certain manner. And with district heating system, of course, such energy can be used. Of course, there are different parameters of operation in different seasons, but we can drastically bring down losses of energy production from various sources. In this case, I will not speak of photovoltaic cells or hydro power plants. So what do the district heating and cooling systems afford us with compared to the existing local systems? When speaking of the social and environmental point of view, they bring higher energy efficiency. They also mean significantly lower consumption of primary energy. We can use polygeneration, which means that we can diversify resources. They also reduce emissions, and of course they also have a positive impact on the environment. From the point of view of the customer, of course, district heating and cooling is comfortable, simple and reliable heat and cold supply. And this means that less space is required for heating and cooling in buildings. The investment costs are lower, and if we compare them with local sources, such systems are appropriately dimensioned, so they are not over planned or they do not have overcapacity, which is very often the case of local systems. Here we see the differences between the shares of the district heating in various European countries. Some EU member states obviously record a high share of district heating in order to heat residential or industrial buildings. However, some other member states still have much untapped potential. Also, when we speak of the type of how this energy is used, we see that there is much diversification among EU member states. We can see that renewables, for example, represent a certain share, but the black part of the column is actually direct combustion, direct heating. So irrespective of the energy source, is it a renewable or fossil fuel, combustion only to heat the facility is a sin, to put it quite simply. When it comes to district cooling, we have to look into the future. Of course, today there are many challenges in this field. Why? Because the envelopes of buildings are constantly improved. Therefore, the need for heating has been reduced. But we also know that we want much comfort, and if we follow the trends when it comes to cooling, we see that the demand is very much growing, and that in certain facilities demand for cooling exceeds the demand for heating. I think that also in the future this will remain the same. With district cooling, we have the possibility to use various natural and other sources, including waste heat, waste processes, where heat can be converted via various processes into cooling, and in this way the efficiency can be significantly increased. Here you have an overview of the district cooling systems available in the world. As I'm limited in time, I will perhaps skip this slide. Of course, when we speak of district heating and cooling systems, they also include cogeneration. Cogeneration, of course, means co-production of heat and energy. And if we do not make use of this heat, we are not speaking of cogeneration proper. Of course, in hot seasons, there is a problem because the number of operating hours at higher loads means that this heat is not fully spent. Of course, we want to spend this heat in the band of 8,000 hours per year. Here, the biomass systems experience the biggest problems. Looking into the future, I believe there is much potential to introduce polygeneration. Thereby, we could fully use the total available energy. To conclude, let me just present this example that you see on the slide. This is a well-known building in Ljubljana. It has been refurbished now, but you see these pigeonholes, to call them like that, and you see what inefficient energy use means when we speak of cooling. And this is very similar to what used to be used for individual combustion to heat individual rooms. So we really need to strive for energy efficiency across the entire chain, from generation to sale and distribution. And with this, I would like to conclude.